Like, there's something so funny about thinking that U.S. aid spreads woke around the world, and to a certain degree it does. But being so hyper-focused on the NGO scheme that you think exclusively benefits Democrats, and there is, again, some truth to that. You know, it's like, oh, this is a money laundering scheme for the Dems. Okay? That you fail to consider why this structure exists to begin with. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the news. Trump fires top U.S. general and Navy chief.
Breaking details. Selena, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Gio. This is an unprecedented purge of military leadership. The president is a military officer in this country and other senior leaders. It is sending shockwaves through the Pentagon. Now, the president hasn't directly said why he's firing them, but he has made it clear that he wants to get rid of anyone in the military who supports diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Overnight, President Trump firing the nation's top military leadership in an unprecedented purge. Trump ousting General C.Q. Brown as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, removing the four-star fighter pilot as America's top military leader, and firing multiple other senior leaders, including Lisa Franchetti, the first woman to serve as the Navy's top admiral, the number 2 ranking general in the Air Force, and 3 other senior officers. Brown was nominated by Trump in his first term, which made him the first black chief of staff for the Air Force, but has come under fire as Trump aims to rid the military of leaders who support diversity and equity, as Brown and some of the others who were fired had done. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth once called Brown a DEI hire.
Well, first of all, you got to fire you got to fire the chairman of Joint Chiefs.
Brown telling our chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz last year he wants to be judged by his abilities.
I want to be judged based on my own accomplishments, based on my merits, and given an opportunity. That's all I've asked for throughout my, growing up. That's what I've asked for throughout my Air Force career. And hopefully, I'm sitting in this chair as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs not because I'm African American, because I'm a quality officer.
Trump nominating as his replacement Dan Kane, a retired 3-star Air Force general who has never served in a 4-star position. The shakeup comes as the Pentagon prepares to lay off 5,400 civilian workers starting next week, in the first wave of firings that could total tens of thousands of workers, as the Pentagon aims to cut 5 to 8% of its civilian workforce. Layoffs also hitting the Federal Aviation Administration.
Dude, capitalism is so funny. In order for capitalism to continue, you have to do imperialism, okay? Because labor is the most malleable aspect of production, of commodity production, and that means you have to constantly dominate labor, okay? Both internally and also with imperialism externally. But ironically enough, because of the endless growth attitude and the endless profit seeking that these parasitic capitalists have, they end up gutting their own institutions that unironically will undermine their ability to conduct imperialism. It's fucking awesome. Okay? On the one hand, I'm very frustrated with the reality that so many of these people are getting laid off. Okay? A job is a job. It's ridiculous. On the other hand, I can't help but notice that, and the same goes for deleting U.S. aid. I can't help but notice that these guys are probably going to engage in a private-public partnership and, put all of these agencies in the hands of the private sector that will now provide this service, which will make it more costly and ultimately significantly worse. Okay? The one thing that is, I guess, good about the government is that money is supposed to be no object. Okay? This allows you to do things that private enterprise might not be able to do. This allows you to avoid the trappings of corner cutting, short-term profit seeking, and the like. I'll give you the greatest example. If the American military was in this private-public partnership structure under the Cold War, we would have not gotten DARPA to invent what you now know as the fucking internet. Okay? It's pretty crazy.
More than 100 probationary employees have been terminated, including team members that produce air traffic navigation maps. Multiple sources tell ABC. While Trump insists the cuts are making the government more efficient, angry Americans across the country, from Georgia to Kansas, are pushing back.
We are all freaking pissed off about this. You're going to hear it and feel it.
In a district near Atlanta, Republican Congressman Rich McCormick feeling the heat.
The people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going.
Like, there's something so funny about thinking that U.S. aid spreads woke around the world, and to a certain degree it does. But being so hyper-focused on the NGO scheme that you think exclusively benefits Democrats, and there's, again, some truth to that. You know, it's like, oh, this is a money laundering scheme for the Dems, okay? That you fail to consider why this structure exists to begin with. It is hilarious. That's what I think happened here. They looked at USAID and they were like, this is a Democrat Party liberal scheme to keep paying their guys to basically create like a money faucet for liberals and Democrats to set up civil society organizations all around the globe. And to a certain degree, it's not false. That is what many of these NGOs have done, but they don't understand why USAID has done that. It's not simply to give Democrats money, you fucking idiot. Like, so much of the justification against China revolves around USAID-funded media projects and civil society organizations. Is going to constantly pump out material talking about how China's got social credit schemes and how they're engaging in like unlimited organ harvesting of all Chinese that don't like Xi Jinping or whatever the fuck. How are you going to do that? People say Johnny Harris does it for free. Except Johnny Harris relies almost exclusively on dudes who are in some way, shape, or form funded by USAID civil society organizations. So his sources need that kind of money to constantly do research. It's truly idiotic. Just like without real journalism existing, regardless of my criticisms of all of these insane publications that just like actively lie, undermine the truth, New York Times, yada, 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 I still will always tell you it is a profoundly important institution that must exist. I cannot do what I do without these institutions. I can't do my job, regardless of my criticism, without Yusuf Mansouri as a Yemeni. I'm sorry you got canceled twice because you dared to defend Yemen. No, it wasn't a real cancellation, number one. And number two, I will always defend people that are being actively murdered and slaughtered by Western Empire, okay? I don't give a if people, quote unquote, cancel me. Also, that's a funny ass name. Yusuf Mansouri. Like the dude who makes those ugly ass cars. Isn't his name also Yusuf Mansouri? The Mansouri cars? Chatter's about to be like, yo, that's my dad, bro. Chill. Anyway. We'll talk about, is it Arabic surname? No, it's a clan name, Al-Mansouri. I follow a few Telegram groups that are pretty good for up-to-date news from Gaza, but their ideology overall is insane to me. They froth at their mouth over woke, but they also hate Musk and Trump. They also love Russia. That's amazing. I love shit like that. I feel like that right there is, I guess, the third worldist position. Like that low-key is like, that feels like the position of the global south. You know what I mean? No, not even fucking MAGA communists, dude. Are you kidding me? MAGA communists love Trump. They eat Trump's dick. It's the most bizarre ideological build. It's not. I've tried to explain this to you. I don't agree with it, but I've tried to explain this to you before, and I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, they think America is the big bad for understandable reasons, because from their perspective, America is the big bad. So they literally are just like, yeah, I'm anti everything West. Oh, is the West like promoting homosexuality? Okay, fuck that. I hate it. This doesn't mean that like they didn't have homophobic opinions ahead of time, but this is just like is a way for them to reaffirm that, because they're like, oh, that's like Western moral degeneracy. Okay, and they like Russia because they think Russia is like striking back, is the only country that has the capacity to strike back at the big bad West. That's it. Oh, they're also anti-Syrian, recent Syrian revolution. Okay, then they're just they're like a I would say that they are they're not like the third worldist position, I think. Most people are pro Syrian revolution. They're pro-Russian, but they're also pro-Syrian revolution. And I think that if those guys are also like pro-Assad, they're like the remaining fucking 8 Assadists. Like what's the dude's name? The fucking Scottish dude? George Galloway. People who say they think Syria deserves what comes to it because it's been overtaken by terrorists is a fucking freak. Surprisingly, they're also very anti-Semitic. That's not very surprising. You've just described 11 different ways why these guys are fucking cranks. It's not really that. I will now clip this as you wholeheartedly supporting them. Fuck you. All right, let's keep going.
To rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
In Colby, Kansas, voters furious at Republican Congressman Tracy Mann.
Is there anything that Trump and Eli could do that you would not support? I'm sure. Oh, tell me.
These mass layoffs are putting the federal government in turmoil at the same time that the Pentagon is dealing with this big leadership shakeup at the top. It's also starting to lose a significant portion of its workforce. Now, the administration is insisting that this is not going to impact military readiness, but some Pentagon workers tell us that they're concerned it could impact the readiness of troops since the civilian workforce supports them both at home and around the world.